Good evening, Saint Lucia. You're watching Uncut, and I am your host, Lisa Joa-Hill. Thank you for joining us this evening. I have always wondered why it is that we as a society say the young people are the future. We want to do this for the young people, we want to do that for them. But we fail to realize that not just that they are the future, but they are the now. So what are we doing for them to help develop them right now for the future? In studio, I have El Presidente, Mr. Robert Rene, the president of the South Castries Youth and Sports Council. In previous interviews, I mentioned I'm the public relations officer for the council. So South Castries covers Castries South and Castries Southeast. Mr. Rene, welcome. We're so happy to have you in studio.
Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really happy and really excited to finally be on Uncut.
Finally, yes. Finally, and you're my first young person.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you agreed to come in to interview with us. We have a lot to talk about. I know we have a big district. South Castries is covered by Representative Mary Isaac, Ernest Hilaire. Castries Southeast is Honorable Guy Joseph. So I think this is the biggest constituency for any
youth or district youth and sports council.
Any district youth and sports council. So Robert, let's just jump right in. Tell us about yourself, how you became involved in youth work.
From the age of 15, I was playing cricket on the national level. I made the national cricket team.
And I only found out about that, 2 weeks ago? I can't believe you kept that a secret.
Yes, it was,
wow.
For me, it was such a wonderful time, such a wonderful experience. You know, when you grew up not having many opportunities because of financial constraints, and then you are exposed to something like that where you have a certain talent and skill, and that can open doors for you.
Yes.
And so I was privy to playing cricket on a national level, and so having that understanding of what it did for me, especially in my situation at the time, it really instilled in me a passion to have other young people use their talents to open doors for them. So I would say my love for youth work started there. From there, I became a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I must say, I cannot emphasize enough how much being a part of the Labe District Adventist Youth Society really helped to broaden my horizon, helped to build my skill set, the Youth Society has a paramilitary arm called the Master Guide Club. And in that Master Guide Club, young people are exposed to so many different skills. You know, first aid, track and trail, how to deal with getting lost, right?
Swimming,
stargazing. They call them honors. So you can have they have a sash across there, and you can have a sash just
why didn't you walk with your sash today?
I've done
too heavy.
Let me tell you, I've done quite a few honors. You know, you learn about amphibians. I mean, it's just you can learn about anything.
Yes, I mean, I started as a adventurer and then Pathfinder and Master Guides in the Seventh-day Adventist faith.
So I have to be thankful and grateful for how that again exposed me to a lot of youth work, working with this organization.
Yeah. Now you said something about your situation at the time, and I want to talk about that, but we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll get to know a little more about you and then dive into the rest of our conversation. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. So Robert, right before the break, you said your situation at the time. Tell us a little more about that.
Well, I have 9 siblings. I come from a large family.
I did not know that.
Yes, I have 9 siblings. I have a twin brother who's a pastor, by the way. Pastor Rod Rene. And we grew up, you know, you don't necessarily want to sound cliche, but the fact of the matter is it is my actual experience in that we did not grow up under the best of circumstances, in that there were times that we would go hungry. You know, there were times that I remember my father left to go overseas, and then we had to be raised by our sisters.
You grew up in
Lacqua Mengo. I do, you know, even having to, you know, talk about that particular situation, I have to mention though that as a child, we did have a lot of friends around the area, and so that helped to make the childhood, you know, a little better, because we were always playing, you know, during Creole Heritage Month. Our friends would go down and cut bamboo. So there were beautiful, like, you know, parts of that experience. However, yes, there were times that we would go hungry. My sisters were children themselves. I believe that my last sister at the time, she was probably about maybe say 15, probably 16, you know, and my father had left to go overseas, and so my mom was living on another side of the island. Because we were not together. And so we did have a difficult childhood in that regard. We did not have, you know, the
So you didn't grow up with your parents, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I had but my father committed suicide in 2014, and I've always when I was analyzing this whole experience, when I was doing my own introspection, I tend to have concluded that my father, even when he was there, was presently absent. I like to use that because yes, he was there when he was there, when he came down and stuff like that, or when in the earlier years of our lives, he was present at these times, but he did not counsel me as much as I would have loved to be counseled.
So who would you attribute that to? Would you say the church or people around you?
I would say, yeah, when I got to the church, by the time we got there, it almost seems like people were privy to our situation, and people wanted to adopt us, literally. People wanted us to live with them, and so there were some people I have to thank, like this popular comedian called Iglesia. When I came to the Labby SDA church, she was the first person who really opened her door, and I stayed at her house for maybe 2 years, so she literally sort of adopted me, and then I moved to another house, and people just literally wanted. So I have to say that experience in the Seventh-day Adventist Church really created more of a balance. You know, and you know, things started to become a little bit more steady. So you have friends, you have a more balanced life at that time.
Now I see a lot of young people like yourself, like myself, who we did not grow up under the best circumstances, but we grew up in the church. Church for me was my refuge. Every single day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sabbath. And I learned a lot. 4 years old, on the pulpit, singing. By the time you're 10, 11, I could preach to a crowd of people. I could teach, run a superintendent, run AY programs. So I know the church plays a very instrumental role in the lives of a lot of young people who did not really grow up under the best circumstances. And here you are, Robert. Now you're the president of the South Castries Youth and Sports Council. You're very vocal. You're involved in a lot of activities. MC Bubba.
Yes, MC.
The most vibrant MC in Saint Lucia. And you did Jazz Sampler recently.
Yes.
I know you've been very much out there. That was a lovely
experience. I've been wanting to do Jazz Sampler for years. Every time I see some of my friends and the graphics and the Jazz Sampler logo in the corner, I've been...
This will be one day, and you did it.
Finally, I got the nod from Sisterhood to perform this year, and we did so recently, and it was a fantastic experience.
Awesome.
I love the arts. The arts is something I believe that can really help young people channel their energies into something positive. Use their circumstances to make a brilliant life for themselves. You know,
There's so many facets to it. You know, people will focus just on the academic. There's sports.
Exactly.
There's
Yes.
arts.
Yes.
Lots of
One of the things I have come to realize is that in some instances, youth work became more about sports. Youth work became more about, you know, providing sporting opportunities for young people, and so the arts, the youth development aspect of it, got a little. It started to dwindle, and with my passion, with my passion being the arts, I want to reintroduce young people to the fact that sports is not the only avenue for you to earn a living. I'm a music teacher. Oh my. You know, I'm a music teacher. So when I talk to my students, I tell them, yes.
And you're at
I'm at the Canon Nori Anglican Primary School.
Anglican.
And I tell my students, yes, you can become a professional musician. Yes, you can earn a living. If I have to go into the numbers with regards to what young people can earn just by being a keyboardist, a bass player, and you're one of the best, you know, or you become one of the best on the island. There are so many opportunities for you to actually. The more hotels we have on the island, the more musicians they need, because they need the
But
hotels.
Robert, I get you, and I get all of that. But I'm seeing less and less interest in that, as you rightly said. We focus on education. You go abroad, you do your bachelor's, you do your master's, PhD, whatever education you want for yourself. And we would say, you know, it's hard to become a musician or a recording artist in Saint Lucia because the opportunities are so limited. And you know, with our Denry segment, the guys are going all out there. But for a vocalist like yourself, like myself, there's so many of us in Saint Lucia, and you know, lots of talent also came from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. A lot of the vocalists I know in Saint Lucia are Seventh-day Adventists. And the opportunities are just so limited. So you find persons are not focusing on the talents and the skills that they have, and they, you know, they go and they saturate the market with a business degree or a communications degree, and they think, you know, I'm gonna make it out there with that. And it's you find less and less persons are actually going out there to study sports management or social work or you understand what I'm or even the arts, and we see constantly that this is dwindling. Now tell us about your work with South Castries. I know recently we had an arts expose. So let's just talk about, you know, some of the things that you as the president you have worked with your council on in South Castries.
Our council has in recent times conducted an arts expose. That was one we did in collaboration with Head Funk, because we know that Head Funk at the time, or Head Funk used to have a consistent arts platform where people would come, do their poetry, do their original songs.
Shane and Jermaine did a very good job with that.
And we understood that they also had a brand and a following, and so we felt it was necessary to, you know, get people like them on board in helping us to bring that to fruition. And so we conducted that at Escape in Cul-de-sac.
Really nice location.
It was a real success. By all accounts, people were happy with the performances. Young people got an opportunity to showcase their talent. And for me, it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
For me, now that we know that there are young people who want to showcase their talent, we need to also help develop it. And so we will be, you know, in consultation with the executive, we will be moving into how do we now develop these, you know, skills. Whether it be we conduct workshops on drama. You know, we bring in the young people who are interested in drama, bring in the musicians, and one of the things I've always wanted to do is to have a community orchestra. I know there are some orchestras on the island, community orchestras, but I believe there aren't enough.
There aren't enough.
No.
But there are none in South Castries, really. There are none in
No,
South
there are none
Castries.
in South
So
Castries.
I mean, we want to do this with the council. We have several activities that we have in place, and we started off with, well, we did Too Fit to Quit.
Too Fit to Quit. That that particular initiative, the idea behind that is that we realized that diabetes is a major issue in the Caribbean, and not just in the Caribbean, but in Saint Lucia.
We're number 2.
Number 2? I thought we were number 1 in terms of the rate of diabetes in the world per capita. Yeah. So it is a massive issue. And we are realizing that juvenile diabetes is actually on the rise. Young people, our diet it's poor in Saint Lucia.
And then the amount of alcohol we consume.
Alcohol we consume, the amount of starch in our diets, the fact that we do not exercise, everything. We're mobile now, so people aren't walking as much as they used to before. And so we're realizing that, hey, this is an issue. I like to think of, whenever I think of issues, I say, identify the problem, create a solution. So solutions to problems. That's the mantra. So yes, diabetes is on the rise, but what is the solution? How do we help to actually, let's not just talk about it, but actually create a platform where people can change
and
or
see
the
results.
It.
Yes.
So Too Fit to Quit was created with that in mind, creating a solution to that problem. And we would be going to all the communities within South Castries in conjunction with the Diabetes Association, Diabetes and Hypertension Association. We will be going to all the communities. And we would create a consistent exercise program for the communities. So about 2 days in the week or 3, depending on the schedules of the facilitators, get people to come at 5:30 in the morning, 6:30, very early.
Because gym is so expensive for some persons. And then if you live in South Castries, for you to go all the way to Castries or to the north, and the traffic,
it's only
very
$5.
difficult. Yeah,
it's
only
it's only $5, and you wouldn't, and the $5 is basically a contribution to help us defray some of the costs that we are incurring, because we are not for profit.
Yeah,
and so you get the and let me tell you, $5 to get a professional aerobics, that's a steal.
Yeah,
I agree with you. So Too Fit to Quit is to
one
help.
Of the things,
it's one of the things that we're going to do to help provide a solution to that problem. Because it's going to affect our young people. It is affecting our young people, like I said, because juvenile diabetes is on the rise, and not just affect the population on a whole. Because we are now seeing 40-year-olds, people are starting to be, they're having their limbs amputated. So
and that is very young.
Every single
You're going to be 40 just now, Robert.
Yes, every single Saint Lucian knows somebody who's living with diabetes.
Yeah.
That
is terrible. We need to be able to find ways to control that.
We will be conducting a leadership training workshop, because again, it's all about equipping young people with the necessary skill set to become leaders, to become empowered. We want to build that capacity, improve their versatility as well. And so we are realizing, yes, we have the clubs. Yes, we have the young people, but we need to do what is necessary to equip them. And so we're doing this leadership training on May 5th. And that leadership training will help to more or less educate them about things like budgeting,
right,
sports advocacy, and a whole list of other.
I know grant writing, team
building,
what you need to know, forming your executive, and in terms of how to become more structured. Now, all of that is excellent. So I can see our council is doing all of this. We are touching on the arts, we're touching on education programs, we are touching on sports. But what infrastructure is already in place in South Castries? Because I came onto the council and I was not aware of, I mean, I am from Forest J, and Castries Southeast is home. But we have nothing for young persons really to say that this is where you can go. We're doing this, and we're only a group of 7, 8 of us, and then we have the support of our affiliates.
You see me shaking my head.
Yeah, so tell me, why are you shaking your head, Robert?
Because the facilities,
I feel like we're on the same page here
the
right now.
The facilities in South Castries, South Castries, are not up to standard,
They're
to be
not
honest. We have a court in Bad Chaussee, and recently we were talking about talking about introducing tennis to the constituency. Okay, if we are going to focus on sports, we cannot only focus on football and cricket, which is some of the two sports that people are. But there are other sports that have major potential for people to
now I have a very important question, and I feel like we need to talk about this, but let's just take a break for a few minutes, and when we come back we'll continue our conversation. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
If you haven't checked out Ram J's Auto Parts yet, what are you waiting for? We stock a wide assortment of older and newer model popular car and SUV parts. Suzuki, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, Nissan, Mini Cooper, and lots more. That's not all, Ram J's also stocks truck and heavy equipment parts. And if that won't help you, we also do heavy equipment rental to keep your downtime at a minimal. Ram J's Auto Parts is located Masad Industrial Zone, Grosley. Contact us 450-0495 or 716-1400 or email ramj35@hotmail.com.
We are Studio Fit and Healthy 911. Instructor-led classes that suits all your fitness needs. One-on-one personal training to small groups of 7 or larger groups. Soca Fit, boot camp, high-intensity interval training, indoor cycling, kickboxing, yoga, Pilates, and so much more. Studio Fit and Healthy 911, located in the Vet Clinic building, Wadawaj, Grosley, where we defy limits.
So, the facilities in South Castries, I believe, could be enhanced to cater to the needs of our young people.
What facilities?
Right where I live in Bad Chaussee, I remember this particular court. This particular court does not have holes for your volleyball pole.
How you have a court without holes?
Right, it has no holes for the ball. So in other words, it almost seemed like when we are building the facilities, it doesn't seem like there was much consultation with youth and sports councils. Well,
wouldn't the ministries have an integral role in building those courts?
Yes, but
with their experience and knowledge,
you would expect that, for instance, here's another impediment. We want to start a grassroots basketball program, but you realize that children will not be able to use a 10-foot ring, right? But majority of the courts that are being built in the constituencies, they don't have adjustable rings.
They're not adjustable.
So basically, you now have to go and find another set of rings.
But I do understand that.
Right? Now, if you go to courts like VG Sports Complex, the VG Sports Complex have been, the rims have been there forever. And they can host literally any tournament they want because of the fact that they have rims that you can adjust to go to the 10 feet, and you can adjust to go lower for the younger children. Why don't we make that a standard in the constituencies.
Yeah.
Why don't we have these
So
types
you
of
just-
rims as standard, so that you don't have to look for one set of rims for and then create another set of rims for.
So what you're saying is you have a piece of land, you pave it, and then you put a rim or two, and look, that's sporting facilities for you, and that's poor.
But you see, I understand the fact that yes, we do want to, or politicians want to put these structures in place.
Do it right.
It must, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, the fact of the matter is, taxpayers are the ones paying for these facilities.
And then you have to break it down,
Right.
and then
and
put
if
the
we're not
holes
the
and-
ones paying for these facilities, then people might be providing us with grants so that we can get these things done for our young people. But we don't want to have to be spending money all the time, to do things that if we had just done it,
Right,
if we had
first
just,
place.
had proper consultation the first time, we would
I
not have
cannot
to.
understand why these things are still happening.
Yeah,
40 years later.
Now one of the conversations I had with a particular parliamentary representative, and they indicated that people, the communities also need to take responsibility for the facilities, and there is merit to that, because sometimes what keeps happening, or what has happened, is that you have a tournament on the courts, and people banging on the gate and they holding the gate when somebody scores a goal. Of course, that would result in the destruction of the facility.
Right.
So the communities also need to understand that yes, when these facilities do come, we must
take care of them.
take ownership of them, because it's there for us, and so we can't destroy the very things that are put there to help us. So there is merit to that. But my biggest issue, I would say, is the fact that, again, I don't believe that much consultation takes place when some of these facilities, people want to put these facilities in
And not
right. I actually remember that there was a particular court in one of the districts that was opened, and nobody on the council was aware that a court. You hear what we're the South Castries.
That comes to my same point,
South
Robert.
Castries Youth and Sports Council is not aware that there's an opening ceremony for a court, right? That most likely we are more or less the biggest stakeholders, because our clubs will be the ones using it. We are not aware that that's happening.
But that was my point in the beginning. We talk about the youth are the future, and we want to engage them. We want to give them a seat at the table. The National Youth Council, various youth councils are coming out and advocating and saying, hey, but there's no consultation. But yet still things are being done. For example, you and I, we attended an activity by SCYSC,
Right.
to show us the fly-through video of what's happening with HIA. But for me, my biggest disappointment with that was, why are you coming to us now? Why are you
not?
coming to tell us that we want you to be able to share the word and encourage and let people
share
know
the
what's
word and
going
not
on
being-
with HIA?
not
But
be a
we're not part of it.
Of actually
The consultation. How is this going to benefit young people? The jobs that are going to be created as a result, the opportunities that you can get from, maybe having a spot at the airport to facilitate your business. Now persons can do that, but in the beginning, from my understanding and the understanding of the National Youth Council, these consultations did not happen.
Before.
So we're seeing that a lot of young people we're being engaged after the fact. And I think that just says that we don't care about the opinions of young people, but for us to win an election, for us to be able to we're using that youth politics where we care about the youth, we want to see them to see them to thrive, we want to create opportunities for them, but we want to do it.
right.
And then
And
we
then
say,
we say,
look,
yeah, look.
this is what you need to do as a result. And then you find that young persons now have to to an extent reinvent the wheel and tell you, well, this really does not apply to us.
I think-
This doesn't make any sense for us. Now you have to go back to the drawing board and do it all over.
I think politicians.
So it's not just the sports, it's just everything on a whole.
Politicians need to respect the quality and the caliber of the young person's
Absolutely
mind.
agree.
Right? And understand that there are young people who are independent thinkers. There are young people who are game changers. There are leaders in this community and in this country. And so they need to trust the young people. You see, but the problem...
Well, I think experience is the biggest factor.
Not just that too, but the problem is, one of the problems is, you tend to think that the people who are a little older than we are always blame all the issues that are happening now on us.
On the young people.
So why go to the people that we are blaming for the solutions to our problems in our society? You know, we do understand that, yes, our young people, you know, we have a large percentage of young people at Bordelais committing crimes. Yes, we understand that. We understand that people, you know, we don't grow up with the same mannerisms that we had before. People
right. I mean, we have evolved as a people.
I've told people too, who raised the young people?
So we learn it all from y'all. We learn it all from you, is what you're saying.
While you're blaming young people for the issues, the fact is we have to understand that parents do have a part, or the ones who have gone before us do have a part to play with young people not being not having the right set of manners and stuff like that. You look at the schools. Even I'm a teacher. As I indicated earlier, and there are parents, you know, sometimes who would come to, and I've heard some of these stories, who would go to the schools, fight with the teachers, you know, talk bad about the teachers right in front of their students, and all these things happen. So that would bring me now to my next point. Recently, there's a group called Safe Spaces,
yes,
which is being run by Dr. Bird and Dr. King. And they're using Cicero as a pilot.
Actually, Rise Saint Lucia, by them,
yes.
Sponsored by the CFYR program.
Right. So they are using Cicero, which is in our district, as a pilot. And recently they conducted a parenting workshop. The parenting workshop was quite successful. And that is one of the things that we could replicate in the other communities as well. Providing parents with the necessary skills to deal with young people who now have to not just have the home influence, or not young people who are having greater influences aside from what's happening in the home, because now technology is something that the parents back then they didn't have to deal with. So we have to
but the kids get it from the parents. You understand
Yes,
what I'm saying? We talk about crime and violence, and we talk about a lot of our social issues, and I strongly believe that one of the main causes of all of those social ills that we have as it pertains to young people stems from the family, stems from the home. Poor parenting, maybe young persons having children, persons who did not have that, you know, proper parenting skills instilled in them in the beginning, young women, young men.
Right.
You know, so I think a lot of it starts in the home. So as much as we will say we have outside influences as a parent, you know, some parents will say they get to a point where they can't control the children. For me, it was different, because with my father, as strict as he was, I could have ended up like, I could have been in a totally different situation, but he was very strong about my upbringing. So for me, I'm very grateful to him and my mom for that as well, and the community. But there's a lot that has to happen at the home level.
Recently, I was thinking as well. You have young people. You have a lot of single mothers, right? Growing up, remember I told you that my dad, I love him. I love him to death. And I must thank him, of course. Well, he's deceased now, but when he tried, I always remember when he used to. He was an avid smoker, but he never smoked in front of his children.
Okay.
He would smoke away from the home, because he didn't want us to smoke. So there are some.
So that was his.
That was his way of telling us, listen, you know what? I know I have this vice, but I don't want it for you. You have a lot of single mothers, and I always say it's important to give young people that balance. And I thought about it, why not create some sort of a mentoring program? Because there are some young people who need a male influence in their life. Young men who need to understand, who's trying to navigate, their masculinity, or trying to navigate just navigate the world, and would love that strong masculine influence to help to guide them. So why not create a mentoring program where you identify single mothers who have sons, and pair them with an individual who's a positive influence in the community. And that individual would take that person under their wings, probably take them fishing maybe once a month or something.
But it would need to be structured. It would get some experts involved.
Exactly. Experts involved.
Right, because one thing I've noticed is that people are like, you can't tell me how to raise my child. You coming from nowhere, I know you, and you're going to tell me how to raise my child. So getting the experts involved to really train other members of the community so they know how best to deal and handle. Because that is what happened with us. We had when we did safe spaces, safe talks for suicide prevention. You and I both got certified in that area, and we did a little skit where the facilitator and myself, I was trying to get him off the ledge. And whilst what I was saying was positive, there are a lot of things that you think that you can do to help that person get better, but you don't realize that you're actually making the situation worse. So that is why you always need to get that professional help or that expert to come in between to tell you exactly how you should react to the situation, because on our own, we might make the situation worse.
And I was so thankful. I was so thankful to have been a part of that.
Oh yes.
Especially, as I indicated earlier, my father committed suicide, and in retrospect, or when trying to analyze the situation, you ask yourself, could you have done something differently?
Yeah.
Could you have said something? And this. And he always calls us on our birthday, and that's when we realized that there must have been a problem. My twin brother, Pastor Rene, found him, and he realized, but wait a minute, I have not heard from him on my birthday.
Oh.
But he lives right next, and he realized, but the light is always on at a certain time. Why isn't the light on? I haven't seen him. What's going on? Started going, leaving the house, Daddy, calling, and as soon as he went inside of the house, flashed his phone light, and it just flashed on his face.
And that happened a few days before your birthday.
It happened. We found him a day after our birthday, right, on November 19, 2014, and so forth. I can never forget that day. But that experience has actually made me so sensitive towards depression. It made me very sensitive towards people who endure difficulties, and made me cognizant of the fact that, Robert, the truth is there are people who would consider suicide as a way out. And you
never know, because it's not even on their faces.
It's not on their
we
faces.
had a case in Forest right in our own district.
Right.
A young man hung himself.
I had a cousin, actually, a few days after my father's suicide, who attempted suicide. Recently, we also had this young man from Dennery, so you're now realizing that suicide is I mean, it's a problem that our young people are considering suicide.
And it might be, I mean, I am not the expert, but from what you're saying, it's, things happening at home. It's opportunities, it's no jobs, nowhere to develop their skills, nowhere to be able to go out and learn a trade, because the opportunities are just so limited.
I found out that...
And many of them are living in that poverty line. I mean, on our way here, you and I were discussing some stats, and we have about 9,000, the baseline of young people who are
and it has been proven
below
that
the poverty line.
Poverty, it facilitates, if you want to call it that, people choosing a lot of unethical means to provide for themselves. The Scientologists say that survival is humanity's greatest desire. Everybody desires to survive, I am not a Scientologist, but when I read that,
Scientologist or scientist?
Scientologist.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a Scientologist, but you know, when I read that, I was like, you know, I noticed that there are a lot of people who do, you know, use their need for survival as an excuse to do something.
To engage
I remember
in
I
those
was talking to a young man. Let me
activities.
give you a story, a typical example. Well, not typical, but this young man came up to me and he said, "Well, I work in and you know what I'm going to do? You see, when I bottle I am eating I eating 3 times a day. When I hear, you know, I have no food. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rob somebody because I want to go bottle. So now, crime is the solution to survival.
Now we have to talk a little more about that, Robert, because this is just unbelievable. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take our last break, and we need to really talk about those solutions and how we can engage young people. So we're gonna take our final break, and then we will continue our conversation.
If you haven't checked out Ram J's Auto Parts yet, what are you waiting for? We stock a wide assortment of older and newer model popular car and SUV parts. Suzuki, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Honda, Nissan, Mini Cooper, and lots more. That's not all, Ram J's also stocks truck and heavy equipment parts. And if that won't help you, we also do heavy equipment rental to keep your downtime at a minimal. Ram J's Auto Parts is located Masad Industrial Zone, Grosley. Contact us 450-0495 or 716-1400 or email ramj35@hotmail.com.
Studio Fit and Healthy 911. Instructor-led classes that suits all your fitness needs. One-on-one personal training to small groups of 7 or larger groups. Soca Fit, boot camp, high-intensity interval training, indoor cycling, kickboxing, yoga, Pilates, and so much more. Studio Fit and Healthy 911, located in the Vet Clinic building, Wadawaj, Grosley, where we defy limits.
So Lisa, right before the break, I was telling you that a young man was telling me that basically crime is his way out of not having
His way out of poverty.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So he'll go to a bottle and eat 3 times a day, whilst when he's out, he doesn't work, he doesn't have his family support. Lisa, we need to do more. We realize that yes, young people may want jobs, but they may not necessarily have the skill set.
What our unemployment rate?
Our unemployment rate is about 35% thereabout. We want to give young people more skills. We need to enhance them with more skills, because so Alpha said that education is the way out of poverty.
Let me tell you, that's my
education
quote.
is the way out of poverty.
Yeah.
But education is not only formal education.
Exactly. That's what we fail to realize. We think it's just going to school and a degree, and that's in business.
There are chefs who are making serious money, right? Musicians making serious money. And you don't necessarily have to have a degree in music to be a musician.
Exactly.
Right? So we need to introduce young people to a wider variety of various skills.
Yeah, we need to definitely be more creative.
Yes, whether it be, I mean, we have a large influx of cars coming here. So the truth is the demand for mechanics are going to, and not just demand for, but good mechanics, you know, is on the rise. Technology is becoming something that, you know, is driving
so tap
economies.
Into the IT
tap
industry.
into the IT. We don't have a ICT center in South Castries. And if there is
we
one,
don't have anything in South Castries.
and if there is one, I don't know about it. Lisa?
Well, I don't know about it either.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I want to see happen in South Castries. I want us to have a place where we can come and train young people to get into computers, the hardware of computers and the software aspect of it as well. Because people are building apps. WhatsApp was a free app. And the Facebook bought WhatsApp for $19 billion for a free app. There are young people with ideas.
Opportunities are
exactly
unlimited.
So the government need to start giving us more money. I hate to say this, you know, bluntly, but we need to start getting something.
It is the reality.
Yeah, we need to get more money because the truth is we want to and we will be providing these opportunities. We will be tackling the governments as well to get these facilities in South Castries. ICT centers. You know, another thing I realized, Lisa, let's talk about the social aspect. What do young people do when they want to socialize?
But I tell you, we go by Like It, we go by Escape, we go by Verve.
Yeah,
that's what we know.
Now I'm not knocking these businesses.
Yeah, I understand.
Because at the end of the day, you know, it's a business and people are patronizing. But the truth is, it cannot be the only form of, you know,
entertainment or social life.
You know, why isn't the government thinking of creating a space where young people can come and find multiple activities? Bowling alley, you know, indoor racing cart.
I always say that,
you know, all these
is
things.
the space for that.
We have none of these things on the island, really. You know, yes, you can go to the
But
sky.
we're about to have a horse racing track in Vieux-Fort, so
yeah,
maybe you can buy a horse for what, $6,000-$7,000 or $25,000
Lisa, don't get me started.
Go. I mean,
but
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But we need to start. Lisa, you know, we don't have enough time for us to talk about.
I know, Robert, because
things,
now you're talking about all of these things, and my mind is going.
But I'll tell you what. I am committed to the young people of South Castries to ensuring that I advocate on their behalf and ensure that we hold the people responsible, those who need to be held responsible for not being able to provide. We have been working on a zero budget, Lisa.
We have been doing everything with no money.
With $0.
Because it's so difficult for us to get a bank account. You have to go through so much red tape and get so many documents for a non-profit organization run by young people.
KYC, Know Your Community, where we partnered with the Deaf or District and young people. We went on the hike. We did the Fit for Life, where we brought all health professionals to the Goodlands SDHH. We did that in consultation with the Goodlands Full Gospel Tabernacle.
Arts Expose.
Arts Expose. Lisa, we have looked at leadership training. So many things, that the Maritime Skills Training Workshop, because the yachting sector, we need to tap into
zero
it.
budget.
Zero budget. That's about to kick off and take place, because again, equipping young people with the necessary skill set to change their lives. If you don't have the skills, then you cannot offer anything to the job market.
Exactly.
So we will do what we need, and so we are appealing to our stakeholders, the government, the parliamentary reps, you know, businesses. We are coming.
On it.
Yeah, yes. We are coming. We need you to partner with us and listen to us, because we know the young people. We know what they want, what they need. And we want to provide it for them as the South Castries Youth and Sports Council. So that is our direction, and that's where we're going to go.
I can see you have a little political ambition here.
I don't know where life is going to take me, Lisa, to be honest.
Right.
But at this present point,
but when you're called to serve,
when I'm called to serve my community, I'd gladly do so. However, presently, no, I'm not thinking of politics presently. I want
There's
to,
work to be done on the ground.
yeah,
There is
exactly.
work that needs to be done.
I want to focus on that, getting my, there are communities that have not fully benefited from all the programming. We need to go into these communities.
Yes.
We have to, mobilize the young people there. And people were saying before that some clubs are dying out. We need to revive these clubs, and not just sporting clubs, but clubs that focus on other things like drama.
Exactly.
And the arts. Lisa, and
I know.
I tell you, for me, versatility is the order of the day. And I like the arts. I also love sports, like I told you, the national. So I have interest in both of them. And let me tell you, we're gonna get it done.
We're gonna get it done because the young people are passionate and they are ready. Because as I said earlier, they are the future, but they're not just the future, they are the now.
Exactly.
So Robert, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
My pleasure, Liz. Thank
and
you
I
for
know
having
you
me.
have to come back because we're gonna follow up on all the things that South Castries Youth and Sports Council is doing. I see you have your shirt. Represent. I hope the camera gets this. All right. So Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing and working with you and accomplishing all the great things that we want to see happen in terms of youth development in our constituency. Our viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I'm so sorry we had to cut it. It wasn't really short. We went on for a while, but we'll see you next time on Uncut. Good night.